to VIDEODRONE, a podcast about TV, movies, random things we've experienced during the week. And that's it. That's the entirety. That's the breadth of what we cover on this show.
That's the tweet.
My name's Ben Vanel. My co-host here is Tommy Dassolo. How you doing?
Hello, Ben. I am so excited to finally be able to talk about Thailand on a podcast. Thank fucking God.
And rounding out the trio of this wonderful Tuesday show, it's the LBH herself.
Oh my God.
No, it's Jen Fricker. She's
anything,
not a loser anywhere.
My issue is I'm too hairy, frankly.
Yeah.
That's that fucking Lebanese heritage, man. It's like my lower back is like fucking Ben's face.
Oh no, yeah, LBH means Lebanese back hair.
Yeah,
exactly.
If you don't know what that means, go and watch the White Lotus Season 3 Episode 1, because we're going to be chatting that this week, plus Severance Season 2 Episode 5, that was. So it's all TV this week. If you want more movies and stuff, head to patreon.com/filthycasualspod. I've got a Apple TV movie that I'm going to be ripping to shreds.
Okay.
And I'd love to talk about, Jen, you posted in the group chat, Variety's 100 Best TV Performances.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
I always love those kind of industry lists.
Yeah, I feel like once every 2 weeks you'll send us a list and you'll be like, should we talk about this? And we go, yeah, and then we don't get
and then we don't.
Yeah.
I love a listicle. You know, I love that BuzzFeed. Everyone used to give BuzzFeed so much shit, you know? And now you have like proper fucking industry publications doing it.
Yeah.
I do love when, one of these kinds of things gets enough traction that people get mad about who's ranked where, and it's like, this is just one person sat down one day and went, I don't know, Michael Chiklis, number one. The end.
This is literally a office-wide email.
Yeah.
Hey, we're doing a list.
This is a sesh at the pub.
Yes, exactly. This is a podcast, essentially. Yeah. No,
that's a great idea for a pod. It's called The Pub, and you're literally, no one's allowed to say anything that's true on it.
Yes.
Yeah, mate told me this story.
Yeah.
We'll jump into that on the bonus ep, which, hey, go subscribe.
Yeah.
Do yourself a favor. But this week, the White Lotus Season 3, fucking COVID phenomenon, this show, famously was written in like, a month, and was like, the brief was like, just write something that we can film in one location.
It's got to be one location, and I don't know if they specifically said being a hotel or resort would be good, but somewhere where all the cast and crew are also staying, locked down, easy bubble sort of environment, and would have been a win if it was just pretty good, but it went on to be a smash hit. Did a second season, equally successful.
Yeah.
And now here we are, we're back.
Yeah. It's interesting that like talking about the first season where it's set in Hawaii, I feel like thinking about it in that context of like, it was kind of a COVID show, it was a bubble show. I feel like it's one of the few bubble shows, that and Severance really, which we're also going to talk about.
Yeah.
Two like very self-contained things that like kind of still work outside of the context of COVID.
And I mean,
it
didn't
rare, you know?
There were those like movies and shows and stuff that were made that were like people interacting over Zoom or whatever.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I never watched any of them at the time because it felt too like
Real.
intense.
Yeah.
But I'm sure like people kind of enjoyed them in the context of that, but I don't feel like have any sort of shelf life beyond that rather than being a weird little artifact. But this the White Lotus Season 1 it's something that you could easily, cook up and would be successful even without the directive of needing it to be a COVID bubble show. And so this season is Thailand after, season 1 Hawaii, season 2 Italy.
Yeah.
And I remember after season 2 really thinking that they would take a bit of a swerve from it being very sunny, location, because everything does at this point have a bit of a kind of sameness to it in the environment. I remember really feeling like season 3 they'll probably like mix it up and maybe do like a ski resort or something like that.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, we were like, well, they got to do like Aspen or something. Like another bunch of rich cunts like getting their comeuppance, but also Thailand, very cheap to film in.
True.
Like built-in, beautiful setting, all of that stuff.
And hey, I think Mike White's just got a bit of the Adam Sandler's to him, where he's like, you know what? I want to go hang out in Koh Samui with Parker Posey.
Yeah.
Fuck the creative direction of the show. I just want to have a, I just want to kick back at the end of a day of filming on the beach with a beer.
Yeah. I saw Mike White do that chat in Sydney last year with Jennifer Coolidge. And it was like a thing where he was saying... First, it was during the writer's strike, so he wasn't actually allowed to talk that much about White Lotus. Because like he was saying it was like a SAG-AFTRA thing too. Like we can't talk about working on it or anything like that.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
But he was saying like even after the success of season 2, where like White Lotus really became something that everyone, like it was everywhere. He was like, I still had to beg HBO to do a season 3.
Yeah, wow.
Like, and this is like in the aftermath of how successful it is. And he's sitting next to Jennifer Coolidge, whose career he's basically like elevated to the next level. And he's like, I still had to go in and be like, please, can we do this? Please.
Wow.
And I was watching it with the Kates.
Oh, yes.
And they had just finished Deadlock, and they were like, yeah, fuck, we had to do the same.
Yeah,
just to
crazy.
Fucking beg. Like,
crazy.
Oh, no.
And
Hollywood's turning into the Australian film and television industry, which is
I guess.
very
but like,
depressing.
but the Thailand of it all, I'm guessing too, like truly, like probably it being a bit cheaper to work there is probably part of it.
I wonder, because it's like it's a pain in the ass to get to from the States. So I wonder, like, I'm sure it's like at the very least like expensive to get the cast there and put them up, because they film at the 4 Seasons, which surely they get some kind of deal out of, but that's like super expensive a com. And so I was staying down the road from where they were filming it while they were filming it. And a couple of days we tried to go in there. We were like, I wonder if you can just like go into the bar, and because like you look up on the website and it it's one of those big resorts, but the restaurants and stuff, you can just go there. So we were like we were calling ahead and being like, hey, can we come in for a drink? And they're like, no, we're closed for a private function. And we'd call like every day, and they would never, they were always like very vague about what it was, but it was like, God damn, a lot of functions, a lot of 21sts happening on this island.
Yeah, every single restaurant.
There's a
crazy.
21st, and there's a bar mitzvah, then there's some 50th, and there's a retirement party. What the fuck's going on? But we were going to take a little drive down there and just kind of, loiter and see if we could see anything. But then looking it up on a map, like the 4 Seasons, it's this like, basically this like, the resort is this like massive compound where then there's sort of nothing nearby. There's not like just a main street or a row of shops or anything where you could just kind of loiter and, worst case scenario, just hang out there and get a beer or something. It's like, it's that and then just like nothing for ages around. So it's kind of not worth going down and just like poking around.
What's like the part of the island like? Like you see a little bit in the opening shots of the episode, but like were you seeing as many monkeys as we see in the show?
No, the bit we were in, it's like, not as like densely overgrown as the bit that they're in. But like a couple of times we went into town, and then like the next day or like that night we would see that like on Walton Goggins' Instagram that they had been like in that same part hanging out like after shooting, like either like the day before or like the night after we were there, which was like so frustrating. And like watching the full trailer, I hadn't watched the trailer for this season yet, and then it auto played after the episode last night, and there's like some shots in there that I'm like, when they're like out of the resort in the show, I was like, oh yeah, I think I know where that place is. So yeah, came close, but no cigar. I was desperate to have a Goggins interaction. That's all I wanted. Was to see Goggins down the street, see Goggins getting a toasty in the 7-Eleven.
All of his Instagrams from Thailand are like, I am profoundly moved by this place. Like he's got such American LA spiritualist energy,
big time,
and actor energy as well. Like to me, it's so funny that he's on Righteous Gemstones, because that's such like a cynical show, and he plays such a kind of cynical, disgusting character in Righteous Gemstones.
Yeah,
but like just in real life seems like a very genuine,
actor.
but
also does take himself very seriously.
Right.
But then
Yeah.
is able to
That
be such a
earnestness.
goofball in all of the McBride stuff.
Yeah.
yeah, and he does. Yeah, he's like. The whole actor. Oh, so grateful for this opportunity, and really racking up the miles and visit, and then like when they were wrapping filming and he was heading back to LA, tagging his wife in the thing, like I'm making my way back home. Get the just like can't wait to see the family and all that kind of stuff.
And then it's like I arrived in LA here 30 years ago with nothing but $50 in my pocket. And a drink. Like it's just like he's real actory.
Yeah, he's big time actory.
But then he just plays these like gross characters.
Totally.
Yeah.
Shane from The Shield, absolute prick.
Yeah.
That Fallout show where he's I mean he's great
You mean
in that.
Fallout?
Yeah. Fallout, the show.
He could have only ever done Shane Vendrell in The Shield, and that's like legacy secured. But to go on and have this, like, I mean, you love to see anyone a little later in life getting a little boost, becoming the hot thing when they're like old enough to appreciate it.
Yeah, him sending his gratitude messages while Australian teenagers spew right next to him.
Yeah.
Have you been
Gorgeous.
to Thailand, Jen?
Pardon?
Have you been to Thailand?
No, I really want to go.
I haven't either. So Tommy's our Thailand
Correspondent.
Yeah. I was when I went to Vietnam last year, I should say. I was like, oh, it is just there. I should just go. My dream, honestly, is to just disappear for like a month and come back, and I've just come back from a Mai Tai camp and I'm fucking ripped. And I've just got a big scar across my head and I don't say anything about it. I just come back and I've got this kind of like far off look in my eyes, like maybe I've had to fight my way out of a situation. And
you're kind of denying it. People are like, hey, you look like you've kind of like, jacked up a bit, and you're like, no.
And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I
Like
weigh the exact same as I did before I left. Yeah.
This is my muscle composition is exactly the same. So
well, yeah, so how do you want to divvy up this episode? I was thinking maybe rather than going like chronologically like through the episode itself, because there's not many like plot beats that happen. Why don't we just kind of go through the different groups and sort of like what it's more just we kind of like learn a little bit about every little group rather than like anything major happening in the plot.
I will say I loved just like starting from the top of the episode before we get into the groups.
Hearing wonk.
I loved that the first two seasons of White Lotus, we see a dead body pretty much instantly, and it's like kind of like SVU introductions where it's like a couple is jogging along the beach and they see a dead body.
But it's always like hyper specific setting too. Like I'm here at a Pokemon card convention, just setting up this like weird little slice that we're gonna see.
Yeah, and so like season 1 White Lotus, they're at the airport. There's a kind of dour mood, and you see a body getting loaded onto an airplane. So we know that there is some kind of death that we're going to see. The second season, it's the chick from American Survivor, Pavati.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Oh, yeah.
On the beach, and then there's a body pulled out of the beach.
Yeah.
And then this season, I feel like I was watching this with my boyfriend, and I was like, oh, it's interesting that this time it's like you're actually watching the death occur rather than like just seeing like the aftermath of a murder or whatever.
Sure.
And
getting like a introduction of a guy who isn't going to be in the rest of it. Because isn't it? Yeah, season 1 we see they kind of do a little bit of setting up all the groups that we're going to meet. So you've got like the newlywed couple or at the airport. Like you see all of them at the airport. And you see like 1 or 2 of them on the beach, maybe, as the body washes up. I can't remember.
I think, you see a couple of them.
I think the blonde, the wife of
the
high-flying kind of college douchebag friend of Aubrey Plaza's husband. She's like on a sun lounge being like, what's going on?
Yeah. But yeah, I kind of forgot as I turned it on, like, oh yeah, that's right. We always start with so, this tragedy, and then we go back a week earlier, and then especially like later on, kind of realizing who this guy actually is in the context of the groups. And so something I've seen a little bit of negative feedback online about, which I actually personally really like, the new theme music. I think people are a little miffed that
we're not getting the
Right.
which, but I kind of do feel like that is really deliberate. I feel like they are really trying to set up early that there's a different tone, different feel to this season. It's obviously all still the same world, but that this is going to be quite a different feeling version of the show, even down to things like the first two seasons have like way more score in them. Like they've got like season 1 has, outside of the theme song, it's got like a little repeating little theme
refrain,
thing that kind of keeps coming in, that's played under all these scenes. And this, I don't think really has any of that. It's all like Thai music, which is
Thai music.
Yeah.
There's a Krangbin song in there.
Yeah.
Which I was like, okay, are they gonna like do the Americanified version of it? But then there is a lot of
There's
actual
heaps
Thai
of
music.
Thai language songs,
Yeah.
which is cool. Like not having a little, not using the main sort of like hook of the theme from the season 1 and 2, and not having a score that's got like a little
motif
refrain.
in
And
it.
I think that's like a real deliberate, like trying to establish a quite different tone, because it feels like they are aware, like, yes, we're in a resort and it's hot, and so for the third time, sort of setting wise, we're doing fairly similar stuff in that sense.
I would say as well, like that feels truer to the experience of traveling through Southeast Asia, where like you're not like you're hearing these Thai pop songs and you're like, it sounds kind of familiar but not really, or it's just like tonally like similar, but then like there's the language obviously, and just like the melodic style is quite different, and I'm like, that kind of, I don't know, I liked that it felt very dialed into the area. It was like whereas I think we're so used to the cinematic language of what Italy looks like, of like holidaying on the coast, or we're quite used to like the visual language of like what a Hawaii resort looks like, because it's just like what's been on screens for so long. Whereas like I feel like this kind of imagery and soundscape is so different, and especially for Americans, like they don't really travel there. Like it's just starting to open up. So
that's what I found really interesting. It's like here, it's like one of the closest like international holiday destinations that you can go to, and so it's very common to be an Australian who's been to Thailand or knows someone that can talk intimately about Thailand, Bali, and all these places. But yeah, to Americans, it is really like, it's funny seeing in the start of this, they're all like, whoa, we're on the air, and they're all like horrifically jet lagged, where from here it's like a 2-hour time difference or something.
Yeah, totally. Just even when the character sees the monitor lizard, she's like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. And it's quite funny. It's like, I guess that would be like really fucking galling. Like,
well, what I was going to say before, Jen, you were talking about when you travel through Southeast Asia and you hear more of these kinds of songs. I don't know if this has ever come up, but Ben and I, when we travel, we actually do have a composer who is kind of on a retainer, and is just kind of constantly coming up with bespoke little themes for us. So we actually can't really relate to hearing any of the local music when we're out. But I do get your point. Yeah.
Interesting.
I thought you were
do
gonna
find
say...
as well, just hanging out with you both, whenever someone speaks a foreign language, you guys are very like you don't want to hear it. I noticed that you're just like, oh, speak English. That's
la 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 la.
That's a cool thing I've noticed about you both.
Yeah,
I want a coffee.
Yeah.
You just gotta yell. That's all.
Yeah, you just say it slower and louder.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of the? I didn't mind. It's kind of weird. It looks sort of weird on the screen, but I didn't mind it. The like weird format of subtitles in this show, where you've got like
the Thai
the
subtitles
Thai in
underneath.
like 50% opacity, and then the like English over the top.
It annoyed the shit out of me, honestly.
It's kind of strange. It's
Who's it for? Who's it for?
I was a little like, again, like using an American band song that sounds like kind of, and like Krangmin is a Thai word, right? That's like the Thai-in, I think.
I think there's like a Thai member in it, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I was a little like, is this like going to be a kind of fetishized version? Which again is like, they're literally putting the real language that the locals speak in the background. Which,
Yeah, I
don't know.
mean, even just like as as a stylistic convention,
Right.
I mean, now being like 3 seasons in, like they had people speaking Italian in
Yeah.
season 2, and it's not like they had it written in Italian
Pizzas
underneath.
behind
Like,
the
Yeah.
subtitles.
I don't know. I mean,
Meatballs bobbing along the side.
I was thinking that about like jumping ahead a little bit. The daughter in the family, the middle daughter in the family. Maybe let's start with them. She's there to. She wants to interview this monk who's at a
Buddhist
monk.
monastery there, and I believe it or not, but in my experience there, I haven't gone too deep culturally on what happens on the island of Koh Samui. But I was kind of thinking like, oh, I wonder if that is a thing there. But I don't know. Like Mike White does seem like a guy who would give enough of a shit to not just be like, yeah, we're just gonna fucking invent that there's a. I would assume that that's based in some sort of truth. I don't know.
Realism.
Yeah, I haven't really looked
Yeah.
into this. Like, but yeah, just,
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah,
I also think that plays into as well, like American wellness culture, which like
Sure.
has been transplanted into Thailand through this resort.
sure.
Like that they do need some kind of idea of spirituality behind their like self-care, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
like I'm not just getting a massage on like a physical level, it's a spiritual like.
Well, and this is what's so
me
funny.
taking care of my eternal spirit, like, you know what I
Yep.
mean? They love, and there's like an inherent fetishization in that.
Yes.
You know,
That's what's so funny about the show as a whole. It's about these like rich douchebags coming into this part of the world that they don't understand and sort of behaving like cunts. But then the macro of that is bunch of rich douchebag Hollywood people coming in and
Yeah.
maybe not really representing an area like 100% it's like this is like zoomed out, like they're
Yeah.
actually living the show as they're making the show in this kind of like weird way.
yeah,
potentially.
totally. It's like, I mean, I feel like so much of White Lotus is kind of about like colonialism, like especially in the Hawaii season. It's like you're literally seeing the friction between like the native Hawaiians who like work at the resorts and
Yes.
and I think it would actually be an unbearable show if you didn't have that kind of framework, and we kind of
Yeah,
see it
yeah.
through like the Thai staff at the resort. Like I feel like we're getting introduced, like Lisa from Blackpink as the
Yep.
damn girl at the resort. That
Oh,
rocks, by the way.
really?
I'm
I didn't even
so
know that.
Fucking hype.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's sick.
She
I did not
booked.
realize that at all.
She
yeah.
booked off the back of The Idol. HBO were like, "Girl, we want you on every
Yeah,
show."
that rules. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize it. That's
Blackpink
great.
in your area, so good. Yeah,
Yeah. God damn. So yeah, let's start with. So yeah, first thing we see of everyone, we see kind of people, them all arriving on a boat, and there's no dialogue, but we can, we sort of get these little flashes. The main takeaway for me from that was Goggins and this dad character having a little bit of a biff, little bit of
Yep.
tension between
Yep.
the two of them on this boat, and then see them all checking in. And yeah, why don't we just go through group by group? Do you want to start
Yeah.
with the family?
The
Yeah.
fucking incest family.
bad vibes. Bad vibes. I will
Yeah.
say Parker Posey as the mother, I'm so hyped for.
Yeah.
She plays dottery freak so well.
Yeah, Ben and I, after we
Yes.
watched, I was walking the dog and we were swapping voice notes of the accent back and forth. So excited to be here at the White Lotus.
Yes. She plays jet lag so well as well.
Yes.
But also it just kind of reminds me, it feels like a natural evolution of her character from Best in Show.
Oh,
you know,
yes,
she's
totally.
in that yuppie couple.
Yes.
And she's like, "You forgot the bumblebee." And so then like 30 years later, or
She's
20
heavily
how-
medicated.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
she's had her
Yeah.
kids, and she's like, "The dog's dead, and I live a different life now," you know?
Yeah, she's traded up to Jason Isaac's character, who is some kind of businessman. So I don't know, like maybe it's my TV. The sound mixing wasn't super great on this episode, and so like I honestly missed a lot of the details. Something's up with him, and he's getting like grilled by the Wall Street Journal essentially. What did you guys pick
Yes.
up what that actually was?
So I don't think they give too much detail. Basically, the son works with the dad at some company,
Yeah, so
financial company.
three children.
Yes.
The oldest Saxon.
Yeah.
And they sort of do this thing of like, oh, he's he's excelling at his job, he's incredible, and then it's like a few more beats and it's like, he works for the dad.
Yeah.
So,
Also, like, such a mean name for a rich kid, like Saxon. Like,
Yeah.
oh, just in case you weren't sure, this family is white.
yeah,
The kid's name is literally Saxon, as in Anglo-Saxon.
He's like 10, 15 years ago, he would have been played by Armie Hammer. He's totally that kind of prick. Yeah.
Yes. I will say, though, he definitely has more. I am loving these, like, representations of, like, Gen Z, like, fuckheads now. You kind of get it a little bit in Baby Girl of, like, this kind of, like, porn-brained kids.
Oh,
who,
totally.
And like, growing up with, like, Manosphere podcasts, like, he's, like, so well written in that way. Like, you're like, yeah, I absolutely believe this guy listens to, like, hustle, grind culture, podcasts every day. He does his ice baths, but, like, you know, and he's, like, he can barely fuck a woman, you know? Like,
he's like, one of the first things he says is he's like, this isn't a holiday for me. Like, I like working. I don't want to unwind. Like, they get there and they get pitched this idea of the digital detox, and it's this very, like, passag thing of, I mean, you don't have to give over your phones. Like, we kind of recommend it, but if you do keep your phones, we just ask that you don't use them in any of the common areas. And do any of them give them over? Does the daughter give hers over, perhaps?
I think most of the family does, except Saxon and the dad.
And the dad, yeah. So they've got, Saxon.
Before we get off Saxon, he is played by
Patrick
Schwarzenegger.
Oh!
Yeah.
Speaking of accents.
Speaking of, like, privileged.
Shithead Nepo baby.
Yeah.
But he's performing well.
He's great.
I think he's well cast at least. Yeah.
So then, so there's him, works for the dad, you know, big hustle culture bro. Then we got the middle daughter who's working on her thesis about
Buddhism, I guess.
Buddhism, and she's been the driving force behind this trip and coming here specifically because there's a monk there that she wants to interview for her thesis. And whole rest of the family is just like, I mean, the mom is like, she's stoked that I'm so happy that all my babies are together. But I think she would have, where does she say that she would have rather go? Somewhere.
The Caribbean. She's like, we usually go to the Caribbean.
That's right.
Oh, man. Oh, that interaction as well between, like, the Australian staff member and which I do suspect is a Kiwi playing an Australian.
It is.
It is?
I looked it up, yeah.
Because you can really tell sometimes when Kiwis play Australians because it is literally us doing an American accent.
Yeah.
It's them being like, oh, yeah, g'day, how are ya? Like,
isn't it nice? It's like a little bit of progress for us. It's like you're not allowed to be New Zealand, but you can be Australian. Like,
You
know, 20 years ago, you wouldn't have even had an Australian accent in anything.
No, it'd be British. It'd be an Australian person playing a British person. And that is true progress. You're right.
Even someone as famous as Hugh Jackman will get cast in things and not be allowed to use his real accent.
Yeah. That's so funny. But Jess, the way a Kiwi person plays Australian is so funny to me. You get it a bit with Madeline Sami in Deadlock, where she plays an Australian, and it's her being like, fuck, I can't, like, just like the worst Vogan accent. Anyway,
would you like to put your phones in this bag?
Yeah.
In
g'day.
my tucker bag?
Yeah.
And she was married to Lady Hawk. It doesn't get more New Zealand than that.
No, totally. But I love that interaction where, and it is so perfect. It's so Americans going international of them just talking about the hyper specifics of the college system.
Yeah,
and an Australian being like, cool.
They all went to
go
Duke.
Tar Heel, and
they all went to Duke. He got into Duke, and he got into some other one as well.
Yeah, so the one the mum went to is the one that the daughter's going to. Is that what it is?
I think they all went to the same. The whole family went to the same one, right? And then he's been offered that one and another one.
And a different one.
Oh,
So
really? His mum went to Chapel Hill.
Oh, okay.
And because she is like later on when the younger son Lachlan is talking about his decision he needs to make, he's talking about choosing between his mum's college and his dad's college.
Right. And the dad is like, what's to decide?
Yeah, you got into Duke, you're going to Duke.
Yeah. So that's him. He's basically there. He's like he mentions that he's got no schoolwork to do, so he'll just chill, and he's going to use this time to kind of make the decision about the what college he's going to go to. The daughter, like right after they get there, she heads down to kind of suss out this monastery and see if the monk is around. Her and Lachlan turn up together, and he just kind of heads back straight away. They just kind of go on the walk together. She doesn't go into the monastery. She just kind of wants to suss out where it is. And...
Well, yeah, it turns out that she hasn't arranged the interview.
Right.
Like later on, they're like, we went all half the way around the world and you haven't set it up. But yeah, so she's kind of a bit... Yeah, she's a bit hesitant. She's, I think, a bit intimidated by the experience or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, we see them having a family meal later on, and we see, the dad, Tim, getting a phone call. There's some dodgy business that he has been involved in that there's going to be an article published about this week, and he's very like, email the questions to my office. I'll be happy to answer them. And they're like, well, we're publishing this. And so, he's clearly fucked. He's clearly about to have his life ruined while he's on the other side of the world and in a different time zone and can't really do anything about it. And seems like the family is going to lose all their money.
Yeah. There's a lot of foreshadowing of like Parker Posey being like, we have all of this because of you.
Yeah.
You're a good man.
Yeah. She loves him. She really loves him.
Oh, okay. I bet that's going to be fine.
Yeah.
What about this weird moment where he's sitting in bed on his phone, and this is after dinner, where she's like fallen asleep at the table, where she appears in the door of the bathroom and she's like, I got a second wind. But then all she does is just sit in bed and read.
Yeah. Well, yeah, then she's taken some loratadine, which is like and like sleepy antihistamines to try and get back down again.
Yeah.
So funny.
And so
she's great. Like she is I'm really excited to watch her this season. I think this is going to be like one of those, like the way that everyone got around Jennifer Coolidge.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like it'll be one of those ones where everyone's going to be like, yeah, fuck, like Parker Posey, one of the best like at playing a fucking weirdo.
Big time.
Yeah.
So they're also, when they first get there, they're like the family are divvying up the rooms, and there's a point where Lockie mentions that, what's the daughter's name? Is it
Piper?
Yeah. They sort of mention maybe sharing a room together, and Saxon is like, that's weird. You're related. You can't share a room together. Yeah. And, maybe there's something in that.
You have fully grown genitals.
Fully grown genitals, that's right. Yeah.
Which, again, I'm like, that... It's scripted so well, because that is something like an insane person on the internet would say. This is someone who spends too much time in the fucking comments fighting with people.
Yeah. And so... So he says, it'd be weird for the two of you to share a room together because you've got fully grown genitals. Anyway, cut to Lockie and Saxon sharing a room together, and Saxon just batting off in front of him. Crazy.
It's nuts.
And like Lockie being curious, like
yeah.
Because Saxon like walks fully nude into the bathroom, the door's open, and then fucking Lockie's just staring at him, and Saxon's the one that shuts the door.
I do wonder too, like, if it is this thing where Piper is kind of insistent on sharing a room with Lockie, and I wonder if it's because she either knows that Saxon's going to do something, or is trying to protect him, or is Lachlan trying to protect Piper, or is there some kind of situation here that they are inadvertently, like, for want of a better word, exposing Lachlan too.
Yeah.
Which I'm like,
yucky.
actually crazy to put that in the first episode.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
At least with like the Italy season, like they kind of had the uncle fucking the nephew. Yep. That was, I think, like towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
They're just like first episode, we're getting tones of incest.
I was talking about this over Instagram with Eloise Eftos, because she posted about it, and we were going back and forth about this freaky fucking family, and I said in one message, it'd be a bit weird if you shared a room with your sister, and then in another message, anyway, now I'm going to whack off in front of you. And then I had to reply to my own message and say, please never screenshot this.
And you're getting in front of the story now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's what I said in a message to Eloise.
Yeah.
It was about
watermarked over the video
situation.
is going to be the time that I recorded this before the message is leaked. Yeah.
Nah, I say get him, Eloise. If you're listening,
take me
just
down.
fucking cancel this.
Take
dude.
me the fuck down.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, again, such like a cynical, almost cartoonish depiction of a rich white family of like the dad's a crook, the mum's nuts, and the kids are all fucked in the head and probably
This
fucking
is like,
each other.
yeah, Mike White going, what if Arrested Development wasn't a comedy?
Yeah,
What
yeah,
if
yeah.
there's like George Michael wanting to root maybe? What if that wasn't played for laughs? What if it was just like genuine, weird, dramatic, like...
Yeah.
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 It's real, like, royal family shit as well.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
they're all like, hey, we got to keep it in the family because we're better than everyone else.
Right,
Like,
right.
real grotty stuff. So that's them. They're the
That's them.
Ratliffs.
The
That's that
Ratliffs.
family.
Great name.
Yeah. They live a rat life.
The Ratatouilles. So then, do you want to go on to Michelle Monaghan and
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
her group of girlies?
Yeah.
Yes.
The Cougars, as Zaxxon calls them.
Jacqueline, what are all their names?
We got Kate is the tall blonde, Leslie Bibb's character.
Yep.
And Laurie is Carrie Seward's
Carrie
character.
Coon. Yeah.
Carrie Cheer, I think they changed her name to over here. So yeah, they're on a girls' trip. They're on. Kate at one point is like, my husband is calling this a midlife crisis. I'm calling it a victory to her. She's very much like the socialite.
Michelle Monaghan's character seems to be a TV actress, a
Famous TV actress. I don't think they really go into detail about specifically what, but just some
rich enough to be paying for the girls
Yeah.
to be staying at the resort.
and recognizable, clearly on some very big popular TV show of the moment, like perhaps, for example, The White Lotus on
interesting.
HBO.
Okay.
Just off the top of my head.
I've
I wouldn't
heard
have
of
made
it.
that connection.
Yeah. So yeah, they're on this trip and they're all successful in their own way, but there's very much this divide where Kate and Jacqueline are talking about their kind of socialite life and the success of being an actor, and Jacqueline's just recently gotten married, and sorry, who's the third one?
That is Laurie. That's
Laurie.
Carrie Coon's character. Yeah.
She's working in the corporate world, and they keep sort of accidentally sort of leaving her out of their back and forths and being like, oh, and you're doing really well too.
And your daughter is growing up into a really cool girl.
Yeah.
One of the best. Oh, man. Again, like Mike White's scripting on this, just incredible.
Yeah,
There's
what a slap.
Just in magnificent venom.
Yeah.
Just through the veins of all of these interactions. They're all sitting there, it's just, we haven't changed since we were 14. We're all the same.
People used to get us all mixed up.
Yeah. And I do love that too, like the idea that they're like, you're famous, but we're just like you. And we're just as beautiful as you.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Kate's character, she talks a lot about like the pressures of having to give to charity and sort of like, because she's like,
everyone in Austin knows who my husband is, and
Yes,
so they're always
exactly.
asking me for jobs or donations to their charities. Like, it's like, that's insane. But it also kind of gives you a real, again, just the dropping of the Austin gives you such a good insight into the type of person she is. Probably like gun-toting left.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
kind
Totally.
of lives in Texas but lives in Austin, so not like hard right.
She's probably been on Kill Tony a couple times, calling an open micer a retard and getting a round of applause.
But
Yeah,
it's more about freedom of speech.
every time I go down to the mothership, Joe's like,
Just drop it, trying to get on Rogan.
Yeah.
To be the voice of reason on Rogan.
Right.
Yeah.
Call him out. Yeah.
But like, Kate and Jacqueline, they talk about their plastic surgery, and like Laurie is there, like, which is like, Carrie Coon is beautiful, so it's funny to sort of make this contrast. But
I think all women are beautiful.
well, I don't know. I don't think that,
For her to be the like lower like
Right.
the lower status one when she's like, even though they're very vague about it, but like a corporate job where she seems like she's like really
Yeah.
excelling at it and she's got a
Independent
family.
sort
For her
of-
to be feeling like
yeah.
a loser in the context of this trio of them is like
Yeah.
crazy.
One of the best white wine cries I've ever seen on
Yeah.
screen.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
So Carrie Coon's character, they've all been up all day drinking, all night drinking. They have this awkward interaction where the other two girls are like, "And you're doing good,"
Yeah.
and she's like, "I'm gonna go to bed." She
Just
throws the
swipes-
glass.
swipes the wine.
Yeah.
Yep.
And just this like eruption
Yeah.
from her soul. It's one of the best white wine cries I've ever seen.
Yeah, and she's got this
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
brutal view from her bedroom window down onto where they're hanging out, and they're like
Yeah.
so animated and having such a good time, and yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then, yeah, there's a scene where they're hanging out by the pool and
Oh, yeah.
Saxon sees them coming. He's like, ooh, cougars. And he's like
Mm.
trying to chat to them, and they're very like, yep, cool. Very uninterested.
Yeah.
But that's basically kind of all we get from them, right? Like, we really only get introduced to this tension of Carrie Coon's character feeling like the outsider.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see her go off. I forgot that she was in this. So great. I don't think I've really seen her in much or anything since The Leftovers. So
Right.
pumped to get more Carrie Coon on the screen. So then we of course have the Gogg, Walton Goggins, playing. Is it Rick? Is that his name?
Yeah. Yep.
And his
And he's
partner,
got a much younger girlfriend, British.
British Manchester.
Manchester.
And they turn up and he's just immediately in a strop. Goes straight to the fridge and cracks himself a beer before the person kind of bringing their bags in has even left the room, which I will admit I've done.
We've all been that
Straight
person,
down to brass
honestly.
tacks. Not here to fuck
yeah.
spiders, mate.
This only cost me $2 if you do the conversion.
And we learn that he doesn't work. They have been living this jet-setting life where they've been to all these different places. They were going to go to Bali at one point.
Yeah.
They wanted to go to Australia, but
But there was an issue. She
Rick
was like,
can't
would
go.
you get arrested if you went
Yeah.
to Australia?
I told you I
And he's-
can't go to Australia. Yes, you can, Walton.
We'd love to have
we
you.
welcome you with
Get on
open
the
arms
pod. Get
to
on
come
the
on
pod.
Videodrone.
Fourth chair.
But yeah, he's clearly some kind of scammer, right? He's some kind of con artist. He wants to meet up with the, I guess, the co-owner of the resort.
The husband of the woman that they all meet when they turn up.
Yes.
And he finds out that he recently had a stroke and he's in Bangkok, recovering.
Yeah.
And he's super fucked off about that. So yeah, we don't know what he does. We don't know what he's up
Something
to.
is
But
up.
he really wanted to meet this guy. And I like the way that they show later on that he's got a bit of an obsession with this guy. Is he just looking up pictures of him on Google Images, not just like looking through photos that he has on his collection? Just Google imaging the cunt is
While he's on the
insane.
toilet as well. So good. So good.
Really great.
Yeah.
So
There's
yeah,
a moment between him and Lisa's character as Lisa's bringing, because also all these groups have health mentors assigned to them.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Which seems different from the other seasons as well. Like it's really kind of drumming in like they're here to go on a journey.
Yes.
That by the end of this time at the resort, there'll be different people. Yeah, and I guess Lisa's their health mentor.
Yeah,
I'm just
right.
gonna call her Lisa.
Yeah, no, go for it.
Absolutely.
Oh no, her name's Mook.
Yeah.
How could I forget that?
How could
Mook.
you not want to call her Mook?
Yeah. And so there's some
such a
kind of
cute
moment
name.
between them, and my suspicion is they know each other already, or there's some kind of something.
Interesting.
Or
Interesting.
yeah, I don't know.
also thought maybe it was just him being into young, hot women and giving her a bit of an extra eye. But yeah, you could be right. I didn't catch that, but that could be something.
This is my suspicion. Just because Mook was talking to the rich people's bodyguards,
Oh yeah.
Yes.
so there's
Yes.
like already a direct line between them. And the fact that he was very fucked off that the rich guy wasn't at the resort.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and so there's a great line where he's like looking at the menu and he's all pissed off by everything that's on there. And there's some line where his girlfriend is like, you know, getting annoyed at a situation that you created. Like he wanted to go, he insisted they go there, and then he's like shitty about everything that's there.
Yeah, totally.
Which is just great.
Yeah, the girlfriend is Chloe. And yeah, what do we know about her? She's like 20 years younger than Walton Goggins.
Yep.
She's from Manchester.
She used to be a yoga teacher, I think.
Right. And she's kind of over his shit and meets up with that other woman later. And they're just like, let's just fucking have fun.
Yep.
Who cares about our
Let's get on
dumbass
one.
boyfriends?
Do we think that the LBH, the loser back home bald guy who is the partner of the woman that Chloe meets at the bar, is that Jennifer Coolidge's husband?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I wasn't
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I don't know. They all look the same.
So later on, she meets up with this. She strikes up just very quickly. Walton Goggins. He's out having a cigarette, and he kind of observes. I can't recall if he's like in earshot enough to hear the husband of the Ratliff family on the phone, but he sort of sees that there's something going on there. And as he's walking back in, Walton's like, "What is he?" He's like, "Having a good night," and he's like, "Fuck off."
Yeah.
So again, there's going to be some form of coming to blows here.
Yes.
And so, she's on her own, strikes up a conversation with this woman who, lives up on the hill with her boyfriend, who is, Jennifer Coolidge's partner. She says there's a nickname they have here for old, bald, white men. It's LBH, loser back home. And I will say, having spent a bit of time over there in Koh Samui, let me tell you, you don't have to be bald to be an LBH, okay?
Did you notice a lot of the baldies running around though? Did that kind of that font of gentleman? Did you notice them a lot in Thailand?
I mean, like that's me, honestly. So I don't want to have too much of a judgmental eye over a baldy on. I mean, the difference is I'm over there. When I was there last, I was there with my sweetie pie. So I feel like as soon as you're there with your partner who you've traveled from your own country with, it's when you're there alone or you're there with like a local woman. That's when it's hard to beat those allegations.
Yeah.
And so and then they also do like a pan around of like two other just old white bald dudes just hanging out together.
Absolutely brutal. Imagine the casting for that too. Agent calls you, they're like, hey, so we have this really interesting part for you. It's in Thailand, so you'd have to be available for a couple of weeks. Would you be interested? Like,
I mean, how did I not get in? I was down the road.
Yeah, exactly. It's because you're cool.
And that would have been so great. I'm like teasing to you guys now, hey, I've kept it under my hat until now, but I've actually got like a really, really small role in the show, and then you watch F1 and it's like, look at this. Yeah. Look at this pedophile over here.
Essentially a sex tourist.
So great reveal of just, seeing him. He's a factor in some way. I know there was a lot of people being kind of bummed that this would be the first season without Jennifer Coolidge because people love Jennifer Coolidge. And again, I'm glad that they, if they had, I like this amount of connective tissue. Yeah. I like seeing him, and I like seeing, moving on to the next group or person, she's the masseuse from season 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
And was she in season 2?
No, I don't think so.
No, but because Jennifer Coolidge was basically like, I'm going to fund you. I'm going to make sure you get to open your own thing, be the best, what do you call it? Yeah, like personal care sort of
healing, wellness
healing.
type of...
Yeah. Don't know if that is... Because I think she still works at the White Lotus. As of now, right?
I think she's on sort of like a
fact-finding mission.
Yeah, kind of like an exchange program almost to learn about the because running the wellness center at the Maui one, and so trying to open herself up to, I guess, the Thai approach to wellness and spirituality to try and bring some of that back to the Maui branch, I guess, was my read on it. I don't know if this is like an internal thing that they've organized and funded for, or whether this is just her wanting to do it of her own volition. I'm not sure, but
that character explicitly is there for 2 months, she says in the episode. She's there, she's in the, because she walks into the hotel room, she's like, I'm here for 2 months. Yeah. And then she's like, oh, my son's coming to visit me.
Yes. And that's him that we see at the start. So yeah.
This is Belinda, by the way. I don't know if we said her name, but it's Belinda.
And I don't think we see, she's very scared of the like lizard that she sees. We don't see really too much of her. We just basically set up that she's there and that she's there to kind of learn. And I
feel like they've given her the one, sometimes TV shows listen to the critique of the show and then put it in the voice of a character. And so she does say like, oh yeah, I saw 2 black people here and they weren't just the staff.
Yeah. Right.
And I thought that was just like a nice little nod, like, yes, we hear you. This is a show about rich white people. We're sorry. It
has to be a show about rich white people. It's going to have a mostly white cast if it's a show making fun of rich white people.
Yeah. It's a critique on class and race and we're sorry.
Yeah.
None of this is confirmed, but she says her son's coming to visit. Is this the guy in the cold open?
Yes, Zion.
Yeah. And is she potentially the dead body?
I mean, we
don't know.
do not know. I do love that as well. They always give enough of like a figure to know it's definitely, I think it's a woman for sure.
Yeah.
But they don't give enough of a figure in any of the previews to know any kind of hair color, whatever.
Yeah.
Because
if it's Lisa, I'm gonna flip. I'm sorry.
Because we also see a little bit of the 2 people that work there. The like, who are they? Are they like security or the guy and the girl? There's like a bit of flirtation with. We don't see a heap of them. But...
Gaitok is the security guard. He's the guy who sits at the gate, and it's. I initially I thought they were together, but I think it's just a flirtation. He's got a crush on her.
They're the Pam and Jim.
Yes.
And she's talking about the bodyguards and being like, "Oh, look at them," and he's like a little bit, jealous of that.
My job's also interesting. I remember that one time I saved a guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love this actor Tame Tapit Thim Tong, and that's perfectly pronounced. He was great. He has like a really like great warm energy, like a great face. I really thought he was like awesome. Yeah.
There's a writer who I just read his book Rejection. Tony Thula. Wait, I'm sounding like Tim Heidecker on Honest Cinema. I've butchered his name there. But he's a Thai American guy, and he posted a photo of the closing credits, and he's like, you guys thought my name was tough going, and it's just like, it's all of the like, it's the page of the credits where it's like all of the local Thai people that worked on the show, and it's just like this, just like some big names in there.
I mean, I've finally got around to knowing how to pronounce Apichatpong Weerasethakul, who is my favorite Thai director, and I've got some work to do for this show.
But yeah, I was saying to you last night, Ben, that I'd read a few like early reviews of the season as a whole, and they'd mentioned that it was like a bit of a slower pace.
Yeah,
takes until about halfway to really get cooking. Some places were a bit critical of that. Some places were a bit more like, it is what it is taken as a whole. It's good stuff. And so I was very kind of ready for that going in, especially when it's anthology and you're resetting. Some seasons are going to resonate with you more than others. But I'm into this. I'm kind of into this slow pace. I like these different groups. There's enough little mystery there. I'm looking forward to seeing like what Goggins' angle is. I'm looking forward to seeing these brothers start pashing on or whatever the fuck is going to happen with them.
Gonna start docking.
Yeah.
Jesus. It's so heavy. Like, it definitely has like generally a way heavier energy than I think the starts to the previous 2 seasons.
Yeah, they've been played a little more funnier. Like even, season 1 Steve Zahn's character thinks he has testicular cancer, which is obviously
Yeah.
very heavy, but the way that that's played is so light. And again, that
Yeah.
little motif in the score is very like, you know, kind of emphasizing that there's this kind of
It's a bit of a
quirky
farce.
dynamics.
Yeah.
And like the mother-in-law turning up halfway through and all that kind of stuff. This, I feel like they really are trying to set up early on that this is a it's impressive that even though it is the same world and it's a very established formula at this point, kind of finding these ways to convey that it's going to be a different tone.
Yeah, kind of like a Coen Brothers sort of like everything's going to be a series of mistakes that's making the worst one have even worse consequences sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's a few other characters. Let's just like get them out of the way before we move on. I don't want to give anyone short shrift. We got Fabian, who's like the German concierge.
The general manager. Yeah.
Love him.
Yeah, he was great. And he's often with Stritala, who is the co-owner of the hotel.
I love her. I'm obsessed with her.
Fucking Thai star.
Yeah.
Such a funny character.
Absolutely
I guess,
queening out every single frame.
Yeah.
So good.
She was
holding up the arrival of guests because she needs to get her glam done. So good.
Just tell him to, do a circle of the bay. Awesome. Really great. Again, more of the comedy, I guess, of the episode was her character. We have
Valentin.
Valentin, yeah. The Russian guy who's going to service the cougars.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And again, perfect encapsulation of traveling in Southeast Asia where it's like, oh, yeah, Russians are allowed to be here.
Oh, yeah.
And the kind of odd beat after Shrutala says, like, and he's Russian.
Yeah.
I think Russia's their biggest market, like genuinely. Like we think that it's majority Australian, but the Russians have us beat over there.
It's just as close, right? Like pretty much, if not closer, yeah. So he's there to give him a good old rub down. Ponchai is the guy who's with Belinda, who's introducing her to all the like local traditions and techniques and stuff. And then Zion. Zion's a character from the cold open. I think we've covered everyone pretty much.
There's a monkey.
Oh, there's many monkeys.
We keep seeing the monkeys. I've seen a lot of stuff online about people thinking that the monkeys are someone's gonna get attacked by a monkey or something.
Oh, okay. So I was like, I'm trying to avoid reading the online theories. It will inevitably happen. But I was like, but they keep cutting to these monkey figures. And so I was like, what is the significance of monkeys in Thailand? And meant to be good luck and protection. So then I'm like, are these monkeys, whenever a monkey appears, like watching over Zion or watching over Carrie Coon's character, I'm like, does this mean that they're going to be spared from whatever bloodbath is going on at the end?
Right.
This is my theory based
they're
on
definitely
nothing but
positioned
facts.
as like the innocents, the good people of the show, like quote unquote good people. Great, good Easter egg hunting, Jen. That's
when we
very
were there, we were having a drink next to our hotel one night, and there were these two stray dogs there that were sitting with us the whole time. And then we walked into town to get dinner, and the dogs walked with us and waited like at the restaurant with us. And then like when we walked back to the hotel, the dogs like escorted us back home. Like they were kind of like ahead of us a little bit, like kind of like leading the way.
Yeah.
It's one of the cutest fucking things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And I really hope I see one of those dogs in the background of one of these shots. I'm hoping
That'd be
one of my
nice.
boys makes a little appearance. That would be cool.
Yeah, you make little resort friends. Like I remember first I went to Bali, there was like a kitten that just like was just chilling at the resort and would come hang out, sit by the pool with me and stuff.
Yep.
And it is like a nice way to be reminded that you're there to just lie down.
Yeah.
Lie down, eat, sleep.
Yep.
Well,
Exactly.
maybe Belinda's character being so scared by the monitor lizard is a bad sign.
Well, this is okay. So I am wondering, the one thing I found a bit tough with this episode is that the symbolism, or there seems to be real effort to place things as important, like when Belinda is praying at the little shrine with Punchai, and it seems like she hasn't done something, or there's something, she places one charm down but she doesn't place the other, and I'm kind of like, okay, does this mean so? Like, I'm like, how much are we meant to be reading into this? How much of this is symbolic? I remember, you know, in season 2, when they go to the Godfather exhibition, and someone online's like, oh my god, the dummy in the car that explodes is wearing the same dress that Jennifer Coolidge is wearing on the boat.
Right.
And therefore we know she's the one who's going to die. I'm like, how deep do we go? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it does have also, I feel, and the episode was kind of paced quite sort of placidly, which I liked. And it's like a full hour long app. How much of it is like atmosphere?
Yeah.
There were a lot of shots, like talking about American Survivor before, where it's like they will show like a nice beach because it's nice, but then they will also show, like you said, like a very pointed bit of animal symbolism or statuary or whatever. I don't know. I'm gonna let it just wash over me, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I was watching with my boyfriend, and we were watching that opening scene where Zion is meditating with one of the staff members, and he was pointing out that like the edges of the frame seem quite furry and like almost there's like a psychedelic quality to some of it too.
Okay.
And we're like, okay, so is this meant to be like there's like the kind of scenes of like the droplets on the lotus leaves and the kind of flipped shots of like the underwater and stuff like that? Like, is it meant to be that you kind of are not quite sure where in space and time you are, even though we know we're in like Thailand, but we don't know, like, it's like, are these people already dead? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
There's something about it. I don't think it's that conceptual, but I am like, okay, there's something they're trying to give us a really unsettling feeling from the beginning, whereas I think Hawaii didn't have that so much. Italy tried to do that, I guess, with like the shots of the Medusa heads and things like that.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. But yeah, good first step. Great to have it back. Love this format. Love the cast he assembles. I mean, it looks amazing. The shots off the balconies and stuff. Yeah. Excited for more. Excited. And like I said, I hadn't watched any of the pre-trailer stuff because I was like, well, I don't care. I'm going to watch it anyway. And then that just kind of auto-playing at the end was like, oh yeah, some shit's going to go down. This looks like it's going to be a good season. Well, it is time. It is well past time for us to dip into our second recap for this episode, Season 2, Episode 5 of Severance.
Yeah. Trojan's Horse.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Again, the scripting is so good. There's always just something kind of wrong. Once again, the big man Rickard giving some of his wonderful lyricism.
Yeah.
I was saying to you, Ben, like, it wasn't even like any specific moment in this episode, but I don't know. I think I was a little like last step, a little sort of like on the fence about the first half of it specifically. But yeah, like a quarter of the way into this episode, I just in my head, I went, I fucking love this show. Like it just, I don't know, like being back in the, like on the 7th floor and this like back and forth and these little things being unraveled. I was like, I'm all in. I just, it's again, parts of it are really taking its time, but yeah, let's go through it beat by beat.
And yeah, I know I wasn't as hot on last week's episode. I really enjoyed this week's episode. I think it was just, being back in the sort of more familiar presentation of the story that we've been used to. But we start off with something very unfamiliar. It's a creepy little man pushing a little trolley of dental tools.
Yeah, and he's whistling some kind of sailor tune.
Yep, he's whistling a sailor tune, which my girlfriend and I immediately Googled afterwards, and is basically about the sinking of like a freighter ship where everyone on board who are all like employees of like a, freighter company died.
Right.
Like, okay.
Great. Cool.
That's not ominous at all.
Yeah. That's interesting too, because the Cold Harbor thing that they're working on too. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I've started listening to the official Severance podcast with Adam Scott and Ben Stiller, and they talk about I've just started from the start because I hadn't listened before, and so they're going through season 1, and the scene where you see like someone getting the procedure done, and they got like an actual brain surgeon to like do to film the procedure.
Wow.
Which I think I just listened to that, and I was like, I wonder if this guy's like they're setting him up like getting all these like creepy little instruments. I'm like, I wonder if that's that same guy. I couldn't remember all. Anyway.
It's interesting too because that department I thought was just the storing of documents or whatever, the printing. And so it's like, why do they have a drawer full of surgical equipment?
Yeah. And so we're back to getting the theme this week, which I don't know if we mentioned last week. They cruelly denied us the music and the freaky little opening.
And then what else have we got?
I don't have the recap up in front of me. I should get it up.
We get Helly back, right?
Yes. So we're dealing with the aftermath of last week, of them finding out that she's an Egan. And now they're all kind of they're all on the floor. They're all like at the office, and they're being told that Irving's gone. And is it Dylan says something like, "Oh, he's dead," and they're like, "No, he's just out in the real world now." His
Audi is on an elongated. What was it? Something about a cruise. It was like a.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's on a. He's gone on a cruise. Which we know is not true. At all.
And so they now know that Helly has been, or Helena has been pretending to be Helly. Irving's gone, and Dylan pushes to have basically a funeral.
Yes.
A bereavement ceremony. So we see Milchek kind of making a banner out of a real old school kind of bubble jet printer.
The old printer paper type of vibe.
Yep. And we see the bereavement ceremony where Dylan makes a speech about Irving and tells a story.
You've got that incredible graphic that they've put on a screen behind him of animated Irving kind of waving his arms up and down in front of a lumen.
The pixel art thing of him.
Yeah. And then they've also got a poster of Irving saying, "Hang in there."
Yep. And then they've again one of the best pieces of prop design the show has had in a show full of it. A little Irving melon head.
Disgusting. It looks like all his skin's been peeled off and it's just
a
fleshy little head.
Yeah.
Which immediately I was like, if I still used or gave a fuck about Facebook, I would be making that picture my profile pic. Irving Melonhead.
Yes. I love that all the food in the severed floor is always kind of wrong. You know? Even watermelon. Even watermelon is a nice food, and then they've got to present it in the worst fucking way.
Yep.
Incredible.
So Dylan makes a long speech where he tells a story about he had been watering down the toner in the printer, and to get him back, Irving poured toner into his glass of water and didn't let him drink it. Stopped him from drinking it, but then he forgot that it was in there and drank some of it anyway. And then they sort of all file out. Mark's very like, okay.
Mark is like, I don't give a fuck about any of this shit.
Yeah, he's like, it's over, isn't it? Like, are we done? Let's go back to work. Like, he's just gone, like, whatever.
Mark's kind of been raped, I guess, in the previous episode.
That is one way of looking at it,
so I feel like he's probably processing that a bit.
That's pretty fair enough to be like,
a bit off work.
Yeah, feeling a bit at the very least
under
miffed.
the weather.
And he's so like we didn't talk too much about the sort of setup of the episode, which was the three of them in Milchek's office where he's like going over everything that happened. Helly is like, what the fuck is going on? Like, she favorite line of the episode was, "Who the fuck are you?" to Miss Wong. She's just like, because she's like, what's the last thing that's happened to? I mean, she woke up while being drowned.
Yeah.
And then before that, the most recent thing was she was the overtime contingency thing where she was like, "Oh, I'm the bad guy."
Yeah,
so that's all happened within the space of like 20 minutes for her.
Right, and yeah, because as we know, when there's that sequence in season 1 of her trying to escape, and they do that really good job of showing you what it is like for these innies, you walk in the door and then the door opens and you're straight back in there. And so, yeah, sequence of events would have been she kisses Mark, goes into the lift, wakes up, finds out she's an Egan, and then she's being drowned.
Yeah.
All of that within... honestly, like 5 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
Less.
Yes. Yeah, totally.
And now everyone's pissed at her.
Right.
That's the other.
Right.
She's just gone from kissing Mark to Mark fucking hates her.
And no
Yeah,
one no one being able to believe that she's not still Helena, and being mad at her for having like lied and used her body and
spied.
Having
and
this...
also Irving's quote unquote dead now. So because there was also that moment where after this scene where everyone's pissed off at Milchick and Helly, essentially they walk back to the tri desk setup, which was so disturbing.
It's been all sort of slightly altered.
But so Mark super pissed off and betrayed and confused, obviously, and he's just like, let's just fucking get on with things. And Helly is
trying to convince
really
him
hurt.
trying to convince him that she is who she says she is, and they continue the plan and everything, and he's just like, they know everything. And he says to her, they know everything because you fucking told them. Like, he's like, it's pointless. Like, they're smarter than us. There's nothing we can do. He's just very, like, he's given up. He's completely,
Was the scene with Milchick and the board, not the board, but the bodyguard, was that at the top of the episode? I can't remember. Where Milchick gets pulled into the boardroom and they go through his mistakes, including
I think that's a little bit. Yeah, I think that's maybe like parallel to this, because also just quickly in the bereavement ceremony, Dylan remembers Irving saying to him, "Just remember to hang in there." And he sees that poster on the wall. He looks behind it, and it's
to
Irving's the what's it called again? The special
the exports,
something like that. The mysterious secret doorway that maybe leads to in and out or however. He's discovered that. He knows now where that note with those directions is. He puts it back, which I was like, is he able to just get into this bereavement room whenever he wants? But anyway. The board. Or not the board, but these people going through all of Milchick's mistakes with him.
Including putting pencil clips on the wrong way, which confused people as to where to start reading from, whether it's the back to the front or the front to the back. And he did that multiple times, which again, perfect. Like if you've ever been in an office, it is just the banality of like some people being like, well, it says this is an intentional blank page, but what does that mean? Like just that kind of level of
And then they give him, I loved this again, another beautiful piece of production design. A like beautifully graphic designed, professional printed up booklet with like these, I mean, it looks like a magazine of like categorized all the mistakes that he's made that they've just been through with him. What do they label it? Catastrophic ORTBO. Catastrophic or calamitous? It's some
calamitous.
Calamitous,
Because the other one is unnecessarily uses verbose language.
Yes,
that's right. And his response to that is like to just double down and use some verbose language.
He also tries to have a moment with, what's the assistant called to the board? I've forgotten her name.
Oh, Natalie.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Before he goes in to be like, I wanted to talk to you about the paintings because I feel like perhaps you've had similar feelings and experiences. It's again like beautiful subtext in these moments
based on our shared, like
But do you know what's so interesting? I heard that the actress who plays Natalie is mixed race, but they didn't actually cast her because like her character wasn't written to be like black or mixed race.
sure.
Like they
Interesting.
just cast her because they liked her as an actor, but then that subtext has kind of come out of
Great.
that.
Yeah.
So I just think that's so interesting because she is playing it like, what are you talking about? Like,
Right.
like consciously anyway, being like, I don't know what you mean. Like,
And there's something I kind of like inferred to, like the weirdness of like she's mostly talking to people as a conduit for the board. And so her having a moment where she's not, she's not talking to someone conveying what the board is saying. She seems kind of like a bit taken aback or uncomfortable or feeling weird about having this moment where she could talk as herself and talk freely, and almost seems to like not know how to handle that, because so much of her role is just being this vessel for these other people.
literally a voice box.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I suspect, as with everyone else in this company, she's like, well, they're listening to me.
Yeah.
I can't speak my honest opinion on this, and it's dangerous that you are.
So Milchek, his response to this is, that's it. I'm tightening the leash on these fucking pricks.
Yep.
No more Mr. Nice Milchek. And so he goes and confronts Mark. Maybe this is at the end. We might be jumping all over the place here a little bit.
Yeah.
But he ends up sort of cornering him in the lift, in the elevator. And it's after we've gotten a sense that Mark's reintegration is starting to take hold.
Yeah, a little bit. And I think his behavior, as well as, like you said, Jen, being like a very normal reaction to what's happened to him, I think maybe there's a sense that, because the outside version of Mark is much more cynical and short-tempered, you would say, and he's certainly acting that way. And then there's this confrontation where he's like, oh yeah, because he has like a weird flash at his desk, and then he looks at the clock and he's like, I'm going home.
Yeah, and he's leaving a bit early, and so he's clearly something. He's like wising up in some sense, plus got the resentment of everything that's just been happening. And there's this I loved this confrontation of him and Milchek, and they're standing right up against each other, and Milchek saying to him, "Did you tell Helly that you fucked her?" He really delivers the word fuck, for a guy who loves his verbose language to just be so crass.
Yeah. Well, he's been told to, tighten it up.
Yep.
Verb-wise.
Yep. So, I loved all that. Because, earlier on we see him, he's got to drink all this...
chicken soup, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah,
it looks something, but it looks like it's in a little milk bottle. It looks yucko.
Yeah.
And he says that he's been told that's their weekend retreat, his innie fell over and hit his head, and that's
right.
why he feels so bad.
Yeah.
He's got a cough and he feels gross.
Because I again, listening to the recap podcast, because it's so long since I watched season 1, I'd kind of forgotten all this stuff, that season 1 starts with him seeing his old friend who's reintegrated, and he's talking about the reintegration sickness. So you kind of see him still not that lady is living at his house because she can't be seen to be coming and going, and he's like, I'm getting nothing, like kind of confirming what we were saying from last week, like how does this all take effect? And he's like, I haven't like remembered anything new about being in there or anything. And she's just basically like, it takes time. His sister calls him to ask about how he's going with the burning into his eyeballs. And he's very like, I don't know, no progress there yet. He's very non-committal because he's clearly given up that plan, doesn't want to tell her that he's done the reintegration, but that's clearly his focus now. And I think that brings us up to speed on Mark.
Yep. Then we've also got the stuff that's going on with Irving.
Yes.
So,
I loved this.
I was so worried that we would not get any more Totoro time.
I know.
But thank God. And some walking.
I was worried that we wouldn't get any more walking time.
Yeah.
So Bert is he's using Irving is he's using a payphone. We don't know who he's talking to. And then Bert pulls up and he's like, I have this thing when someone comes and knocks on my door at, whatever time it was. I want to know what that was about.
And that Bert's holiday got cancelled because Irving showed up at his door.
Yeah. Where were they going to Milwaukee or something?
Yeah.
Our trip to Milwaukee.
Him and his husband.
Yes.
Yeah, him and his husband. And he got told when was it that he got told when he got let go that it was because he had a unsanctioned
erotic entanglement.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but he also tells Audi Irving that he was fired, which didn't appear to be the case. The INI version, all that he knew was that he was retiring. He got a retirement party. It was all very positive. I don't know if that is because Bert doesn't know what, he doesn't know what the INI experienced. He doesn't know that it was positioned as a positive retirement, or if he's hiding the truth from Irving. I guess it makes perfect sense that the Audi would, just think that he got fired because of that, and that's all he knows.
Well, I will say, all of them, when at the beginning of this season, all of the innies got fired in some way except for Mark, and they all got told it was because their innie had attacked someone or had done something.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so it seems like it's the company policy to tell the Audis that they're getting fired because their innie has done something wrong, not that their innie
because then they don't have to answer to anything. It's just easy to go like, hey, what do you do?
Yeah. But it's rare that's actually true. So it is kind of interesting that he gets told you've had an erotic entanglement, because he kind of did with Irving.
Yeah. And to let the innie have just the pleasant send off, just the nice little, hey, good memories here. I guess that's what you'd have to do, unless it's something like with Irving where everyone saw it happen. To keep the morale up in there, you would just say, hey, their Audis decided to, let him go or whatever.
Yeah, true.
So Bert put it together very quickly that that's who Irving was and has been following him. And he goes, we have a ham that's going to go to waste. I like that. So he invites him around for dinner with him and his husband. I kind of got the sense that, they're not going on this holiday to Milwaukee that they'd bought the ham for, because they've split up. But no, it's we're still going to eat the ham, me and my husband together. Would you join us?
Yeah.
We're just not going on the trip. Yep. So, but he offers him a lift home, and he's like, oh, I'll walk. And he's like, well, I do know where you live. And so, I'm pumped to see this dinner between Irving and Bert and the husband next week.
Yeah, totally. And then I think the end of the episode, do we get a check-in with Helena as well? Oh, is this happen in this episode that the guy who's in performance reviewing Milkcheck, he's like, well, you have to go back in as Helly because Mark will
That's
know.
right. Yep.
And Mark is the most important thing of this entire process.
And they've almost completed Cold Harbor.
Yeah,
They've
we've heard
almost
the Mark's
yes.
the most important thing a couple of times, but they specifically they say he's at 81%.
Right.
And as he kind of logs on and you start to get the sense that the reintegration is taking a bit of hold, he's doing some of his bullshit numbers thing, and we see him get to I think 86 or something. So there is this we're starting to be given this thread of this task that makes him so important that they need him to do is getting close to being completed.
Yes. So it's Drummond is the character. Kind of looks like evil Rickon. Drummond and Natalie are like, you have to go back as Helly. Your father, she's like, does father know about this? And Drummond's like, father insisted that this be the case. And during the Milchik performance review, Drummond says that, I get that you want to be part of this because when Mark completes Cold Harbor, it will be the greatest achievement in the history of this planet.
Yes.
Which is insane. And I think, obviously, that has sparked a lot of people to be like, what could it be? Also, like you said, Jen, a corporation thinks that everything it's doing is the most important achievement.
Oh, 100%. It's like when Apple says this device will change everything.
Yes.
And look, they were kind of right about the iPhone.
Yeah, and for the worse. Which, hey, if it's Lumen, it's definitely gonna be something that changes everything for the worse. But yeah, I think I really tapped back into this show as really being about a satire of the dehumanization of people at the hands of corporations. And so, like...
And what a time to be alive.
Oh, God.
It's really hitting.
It makes me it makes me take those statements, those grand statements, with much more of a grain of salt of like, well, this is through the perception of someone who is cultishly devoted to this corporation and has been fed this from, the top down. So, yeah, it's probably something real bad for employees. Is it going to be like fucking clones or whatever all the theories are? I don't know, but it'll be something that makes life worse for the employees of that company. And every company potentially.
Yeah. This was such a great ep. I loved even though they teased it 2 episodes ago, seeing that the reintegration stuff is actually starting to come into play now is very exciting. I'm excited to see this dinner. Yeah. Do we know how many episodes this season is going to be?
It's 10.
10. All right.
10.
So which episode are we? Oh, we're up to 5 now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just watch 5. And then, so the very finale of the episode is Mark walking around his house and then bang, he's cut into shit happening inside the office. He's having, I think it starts with the echoing voice of Gemma /
that's
Miss
right.
Casey.
Yeah, he's talking to the I forget her name, the person who's like reintegrated him.
The doctor?
Living in his basement, and he hears a voice and she's like, I didn't say anything. And then, we see him kind of like, snapping back and forth. Yeah,
which it's like, I think one of the wellness sessions, because she's telling him, that's one of those like rewards they get of like, your Audi likes this, your Audi does that.
Yep.
Your Audi can do a reverse park in less than 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And so, that's what's happening as he starts to hallucinate. And does he see anything particular? I think maybe he sees like the hallway and the corridor and the door and all of that weird shit. And he's fucked, man. He's freaking out. And then it's, cut to black. See you next week, basically. Yeah.
Oh, we also very quickly, we sort of touched on it at the very beginning, but Rickon working on his any version
his
of his
luminized
book,
book.
Could be a Trojan's horse.
Which very much reads like, again, like the literalization of a corporate Bible, where it's like, it's good to be docile, essentially.
And him being like, I could get a message in there to them, and her being like, no, you couldn't. Like they're like,
this is not your words.
Setting it up. Yeah.
They've completely rewritten everything. You're just going along with it.
I said I was trying to steer clear of fan theories and stuff like that, but it's inevitably seeped into my TikTok algorithm. And one of the theories is that that Rickon is an Egan because he looks like one.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And that maybe he doesn't know, or
he certainly. Like, the justification he gives to Devon is like, I mean, you like having stuff, right? Well,
they live in a beautiful house. Like,
I've got to be able to provide for you. This is a good opportunity. So
there's my one hesitation about this show at this point is that because it's so like mystery driven and like not knowing. And they probably don't even know at this point how long they want the series to go for. And so just thinking about like how much of this stuff are they going to keep us on the hook for a very long time? Like, you know what I mean? Like something like Breaking Bad where it's like, oh, how far down the rabbit hole is this guy going to go? You're like, man, I can watch this for as long as they want to keep coming up with these scenarios, then like I'm in if they're going to write it to this quality. But something like this where it really is hinging on what is Lumen doing? Who is this person to this person? They've got to answer some of them at some point. And if they then are going to continue the show for a bit longer, how long does that remain interesting once the mysteries are there? And can you introduce new mysteries without it feeling a bit like gratuitous? I don't know. I'm sure they've got some idea of this, but
I was a big Lost fan, and sort of the problem with Lost was there was a couple of problems. The first was that the first season comes out, everyone watches it and is like, oh, the plane crashed, they all actually died, they're in purgatory, and this is them exploring like their trauma and their unresolved issues and the things they wish they could have done in life. And that being the case, and the writers having to be like, well, shit, how do we misdirect the audience now? And the second problem being for another 5 seasons. And it ended up being a lot of interesting, like, lore, a lot of mysteries, a lot of, like, dangling threads that they circle back around to mostly. But, like, as with Severance, when there's so much speculation between every episode and season, it's really hard for the writers to stay ahead of the audience, for the audience to not set up disappointing expectations.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
And I would say it's probably more intensified even more since Lost, because you now have like the commentary of the internet, the ability for people to screen cap stuff, easily research things like
TikTok video fan theories, all
that
kind of stuff. Yeah, definitely. But I mean, something like, I think so far White Lotus has done a good job of it, where it's like, who dies? And it's like, well, it's one of these people. And I remember season 1 thinking like, oh, it better not just be some fucking random cunt who's just walking down past the street one day. Like they've managed to do it in a really interesting way both times, when that's just like, you can play the odds. You can throw a dartboard at the cast and go, that person, and you'll have a 1 in 8 chance of being right. But still the execution of it is like, I think that's the difference, right? It's like, there is satisfaction in some people having guessed it and being right. If you're going to really deeply speculate at a certain point, you can't expect to be surprised anymore. But it's more the journey of getting there, and the delivery of it is the interesting thing, more so than just the same with like Succession and Game of Thrones and like anything that has the question of who's going to end up at the top here. It's like, well, the actual person that it is kind of like, it's irrelevant. That's not the enjoyable bit. It's the lead up to it that's the most exciting.
I think also a lot of it's probably likely that a lot of the weird stuff in this show is just stylistic. Like, maybe they're leaning a bit more into it being more than that. Like, the goats was like a fun, surreal image from season 1, and then we've explored more of that. We don't really know still what it means, what it's used for. But I kind of feel like with Severance, any like mystery or plot point that could be summed up by an analogy to corporate culture in real life, that's probably what it's going to be. You know?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, well, the religion stuff, it's like, some companies in real life, they have like a corporate Bible with a set of values and beliefs. And so that could be what this is a commentary of, not like a big weird mystery about bringing Keir Egan back to life, or, you know, it could just be that's part of the settings. I don't know. I feel like maybe some of the audience are setting themselves up for
big time. I mean,
the writers.
There's so much weird stuff that it's easy to be like, what's the melon symbolize?
Yes, exactly.
It's like I don't know. It's funny.
I do love like chasing those shadows though too.
Oh, big
like,
time.
Yeah. I love, and I do find that enjoyable. And I felt like that when I was watching Mad Men. You know, there was always speculation about what this book that old mate was reading symbolizes, because this book is about a man who does this and da-da-da. Like, I do love, and it goes to like show you how well written it is, that like we want to probe not just like what's said, but like the inner lives of these characters. And that it's such a robust universe that's been built that we're like. And I think that's also why White Lotus is so great and Severance is so great, is that it's a self-perpetuating universe. Like, White Lotus, there will be a season as long as there are resorts on God's green earth. You know what I mean? Like, as long as there's tourism, there will always be White Lotus or some version of it, and they can write it for as long as they want to write it. And really the hook of White Lotus is like, it's a whodunit, but instead of whodunit, it's like Tommy said, it's a who's died. Like,
yeah.
And so like that's the interesting flip on that. And with Severance, like it really is like, who are we really? Because are we really the people that we're at work where we spend the majority of our time, or are we really the people in real life that and like I think that's also like something that hasn't really been explored in a workplace concept. And it is a self-perpetuating universe where it's like, we'll just pop another floor and pop another room or pop another simulation or whatever. Like, and they can just go for as long as they have ideas for rooms, you know?
Yeah, as long as corporations exist and exploit their workers, then we'll have a show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And as long as there's a show, there'll be a podcast about it.
Exactly.
Well, that's going to do us for this week on Videodrone.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. Get on the Patreon if you want to hear us talking more. TV, movies, etc. Thank you for listening. We will be back next week with White Lotus Season 3, Episode 2 and Severance Season 2, Episode 6.
Yep. Love you. Bye.
Bye.